But no, back inside on the conversation couch today.
Yeah.
See, there it is. Tone, just go straight up.
You're a natural.
Maybe we'll leave it in. Joined today by James, he of White Team fame. Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Nice to be here.
Yeah, it's getting a bit warm. Begin to think we should have gone outside.
Well, it all adds to the weight loss.
Oh yes, all part of the game. All part of the game. So we, as I said, back in the elusive changing room 2, surrounded by all of Lee and Scan's discarded possessions and lots of washing, for sure. To talk about you and to talk about your efforts so far, your journey with your weight and indeed weight loss, and of course the relationship with MANvFAT.
Yeah.
So let's go from the top. I think there's a little bit more to your MANvFAT story than season 1 of Newport, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, I started the very first season of Cardiff. I did 6 or 7 weeks of it. There were a number of problems around sort of the venue we were at to start with. They took a little break, and in that time that they took a break, I realised I wasn't in the right place for it. I wasn't enjoying it. It didn't feel like the right environment for me. And I took the decision then sort of, to step away from it. And I never really looked at going back to the Cardiff League. I knew that there were plans for the Newport one starting up. And I kind of made my decision then that I'd wait until something, because I live up this way, that I'd wait until something was available to me closer to home. The time that it took to get out to the Cardiff venue and stuff like that, it wasn't working for me, and I didn't want to add the kind of the stress that I felt of that sort of whole thing to the Man versus Fat journey. But since we started, when was it? October?
Newport was
September, October time. Since we started, then it's been great. I've really enjoyed it. I was in the WhatsApp chat from very early on, and I saw the guys who went out to different places and just had a kick about, and I felt like I needed the sort of the league sort of setup to kind of get me through. I'm not the most sort of outgoing of people, and I think I felt like I needed that sort of situation where you kind of put in a team and you're the guys that you've got a bond with and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think I felt I needed that as opposed to turning up and meeting a bunch of strangers in a park somewhere, especially Newport.
Well, it's true. It was dodgy times.
Yeah, so
I met Rhino for the first time.
But it's been great, and bar the fact that we seem to get a lot of 9 and 9:30 kickoffs. It's a good bit of a Friday night.
For sure. Okay, so let's talk about. You've spoken an awful lot there about that sort of structure, and the MANvFAT model. I want to ask you about your successes, but before I do, I want to mention something that you might not mention, and I want to make sure we get out there. It was just before we came in, Rob was talking to you about the game on Friday. We played my team, the Greens. Can't remember the score, but what I can remember is Rob talking about a run that you'd made to the top right corner. And he said, it was quite special, it made me quite emotional. And I think that speaks for the bond of the team as well.
Yeah.
But you replied and you said, well, I couldn't do it at the start of the season. I physically couldn't do it. I think that's massive. And it's important to find progress in different places. And that obviously is a big one for you.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your progress so far with the Newport League.
So I hit my 5% a couple of weeks ago.
You're buzzing.
I've got to be honest, since we've come back after the last lockdown, I've been, I wouldn't say being a lot more positive, but before Christmas, in the period that we did there, I was trying to hit my diet sort of 100%. I was tracking everything religiously, and it just didn't seem to be happening for me. I was losing little bits of weight, and it was frustrating because I'd see other people, dropping 2, 3, 4 kilos a week, and I was barely picking up, a couple of 100 grams, and it was really frustrating. When I have tried weight loss in the past, and it's the same for everybody really. Your first couple of weeks of it, you do tend to lose weight because you're making a major change to your diet, and that didn't really happen for me. And I found that first period frustrating. I didn't feel like I was improving fitness-wise. But since we've come back, I've been eating healthier. I've been reducing my portion size. I've been doing what I should be doing, but I haven't. Not necessarily haven't tracked religiously. I haven't put the pressure on myself to say, right, I've got to write everything down. Mm-hmm. I've had a general idea in my head of where I want to be sort of calorie-wise every day. I've made sure that if I know I'm going to have an expensive meal at some point in the day, that what I eat the rest of the day then sort of balances out with it.
Okay.
And that if I do feel like I want a snack or something like that, that I choose a healthier option. But I've also found, I'd say in the last sort of 6-7 weeks, that my ability to say to myself, no, you're not hungry, you don't need to eat that, has been a lot better. And I mean, we had a conversation last week when I weighed in. I put on a small amount last week. It was the day after my birthday, and I'd said to you I'd eaten a lot the day before because it was my birthday, and I'd taken that conscious decision of, I'm not gonna hold myself back from eating anything. I've eaten well the rest of the week. If I end up with a gain from this, I end up with a gain, but it's it's not an everyday thing.
Sure.
And that's what's been sort of key to my success over the period that we've been back since the last lockdown, is just not putting the pressure on myself to account for every single thing, to have a general idea what I'm doing, to be positive about it, and if I come in and I lose 0.2 a kilogram or I lose 0.3 a kilogram, whatever, well, it's a loss, and that's the most important thing. Whereas before Christmas I was walking, Stan will tell you, I was weighing in, and he'd be telling, and every week I'd be annoyed and frustrated that it wasn't happening in the way that I felt it should happen.
There's a huge amount of control, I think, that can be seized from sort of taking that into consideration and saying that out loud like you just have, where a loss is a loss in the right direction. I don't need to track anything anymore, and you can feel yourself going in the right place. I think that's really, really quite special. Let's talk about sort of experiences with your weight. I mean, is there a reason that you've decided now is the time, or is this the next long series of lines?
So, I mean, I've always been big, but it's one of those things of, I look back at pictures of myself at 16 and early 20s and sort of stuff, and it's a case of I was never quite as big as I thought I was.
Yeah,
and it's been a slippery slope to where I am. And I've had some success with weight loss in the past, but it's never been something that I've kept up and held on to. I mean, the major thing for me, which is something that I spoke about when I said I wanted to do this, is the fact that I've got sleep apnea, and with my sleep apnea, because there's a couple of different types, but my sleep apnea is one that can be made considerably worse by weight. And it's not something that, if I lose a lot of weight, it's not a guarantee that my sleep apnea will disappear. But losing weight should help my sleep apnea get better.
Can you just tell us what that means?
So sleep apnea, my particular sleep apnea is where when I lay down to go to sleep, or when I go to sleep, the muscles of my neck relax, and there's a particular part of my throat or whatever it is that when it relaxes, it closes over the windpipe. So when I'm asleep, I can't breathe, basically. When I've had this, I would say I've had sleep apnea in some form for almost a decade. What they found was that during sort of on average doing a 1 hour period of sleep, I was stopping breathing 80 times in 1 hour.
In an hour?
In an hour. So what they were saying is that when you look at the data over the course of the whole night, I was going to bed, my eyes were closing, and I was going to sleep, but I wasn't sleeping because constantly throughout the night, my throat was closed and I'd stop breathing. And obviously, as I say, it caused issues in work, it caused issues at home because I was just tired and out all the time. You know, as far as driving is concerned, it became a real struggle. And the sleep apnea thing, it's kind of like when you hear people talking about their mental health and weight and how it's, you know, the two things go hand in hand. And in order for your mental health to get better, you need to lose weight. But in order for you to lose weight, your mental health's got to get better.
Yeah.
It's a similar sort of thing with the sleep apnea. You know, in order for my weight to get better, I need the sleep apnea to you know, for the treatment to be working. In order for sleep apnea to get better, I need to lose weight, and it can be difficult to lose weight in the sort of the condition that I am living with. Whereas this is, you know, it's a really good way to have support from other people, and there's a part of it which is you providing support to your teammates as well. And that I think is a really positive part of it. The fact that you feel that you are helping other people in their journeys, I think is a positive part of it, which, you know, people talk about the support they get from other people, but I don't think they realise sometimes the effect that they are having on their teammates as well.
I completely agree with you. I think there are guys out there that if you showed them themselves, they'd be shocked at just how much of an impact that they are having. And I think it's truly remarkable. I could listen. Wow. And I truly hope that this reaches somebody with not necessarily the same problem, but that this can help somebody to maybe identify symptoms like that in themselves. And thank you so much for sharing all of that. And if you could, to finish off, speak to somebody who was thinking about joining MANvFAT but wasn't quite sure, what would you say to them?
It doesn't give you something to live by, but it gives you that support network that you need to help you make the right choices and do what you need to do. And that's something, you know, having done Slim World years ago and gone to the groups and listened to people talking, I never got anything from that. We don't always talk about what we've done in the week, but we give each other support. The support you get through the WhatsApp groups and stuff like that, you know that people are invested in you and your journey, and as I said before, that you're invested in their journeys as well.
For sure.
And I think that is something that for me has worked really well. That, you know, I it's not just about me. I want my teammates to do well as well. I want them to lose weight, and I want them to succeed. And I think that's really sort of key to helping everybody's partner. So if anybody was considering joining, I would, you know, it's a no-brainer for me.
Fantastic. Mate, thank you so much.
Thank you.
See you, not Friday. See you soon.
See you soon.
Cheers, man.